Good evening, everyone. I'm back to see everybody out here. My call is being to order. Here, the location today. Are you ready to skip that? We're going to pledge allegiance. Read by Nate.
Such salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you're going to move on to roll call.
Mayor Villarreal,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Flores. Here. Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Soria.
Present.
Councilmember Nate.
Here.
You do. We're going to move on to number 5, the approval of the agenda. I second.
All those voting aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We're going to move on to our presentation items. 21, swearing in officer and Natalie Sanchez. Are you saying that correctly? Okay. Welcome.
Good evening, council. I'm very happy to be here on my new assignment. I'm swearing a brand new police officer. It's fantastic. So I'm going to be very brief. I asked Natalie to write me something that I used to introduce her to the law, and it's fantastic. So I'm going to make her read it to you. But Natalie comes to us with some law enforcement experience from another agency, so we're very happy about that. She is on week 3 of her field training, and she's very well. Not to think so. But without further ado, I'll have
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Natalie Sanchez. So I'm actually from the lake, grew up there my whole entire life. As you can see here, my parents, my dad here on the corner is George Sanchez, my mom, Iris Sanchez, my brother, Andres Sanchez, and then my sister, Anaya Sanchez, and my pastor, Robert Salinas.
Oh, you could have done the invocation.
So yeah, I think just from a very young age, we wanted to pursue law enforcement. I think now being in this position, it's an honor. I'm so grateful for the opportunity and excited to represent the city of Lindsay in a positive way. And I look forward to what is to come here in the city, and can't express my gratitude enough. And one thing that I am super passionate about in this career is just being able to influence lives and find the ways to touch people's hearts and make a difference. And I think being in this position, it's giving me an opportunity. So I just want to extend my gratitude. And that's a little bit about me. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
So I have the honor of swearing in this new officer. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
Hi, Natalie Sanchez.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose,
and I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to.
about which I always mess up right here, about which, sorry, go ahead, I'll repeat after.
The duties upon which I am about
The duties that which upon I will enter, so sorry.
to. All right, congratulations.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to council report, and I'll start from my left.
I don't have anything report, but I just want to congratulate our new officers. Also, to all the graduates, good luck to them. They all stay cool. I don't know if I can say that. It's hot.
You said it. Go ahead, Joe.
Buenas tardes a todos. First and foremost, welcome, bienvenida, and I appreciate you choosing Lindsay, and I really appreciate the rest of the staff, the public safety department showing up. It shows solidarity, so I appreciate all of you. Thank you. And for me, I was able to attend the Lindsay football and cheer board meeting. I'm head coach, so I'll be coaching football, and I'm looking for staff. If anybody wants to volunteer, it's some 7 and 8-year-olds, and it's only about 10 weeks. So Monday to Thursday, and Saturday. So not a small commitment. If anybody's interested, as well as I was able to attend our first swim meet that we did at the Wellness Center. We have 56 swimmers, and it was nice to see them trying to compete against each other. So it was a good experience to be part of that. I'm going to be announcing the phone swim meet. So if all of you would like to attend, we have one next Thursday, I believe. It starts at 6:30. If anybody's interested, let me know. I also did attend the high school graduation. Congratulations, 260 students. My nephew, the Cardinal of the Year, the male Cardinal of the Year, graduated. So I really had a good time, and it was wonderful. Looking forward, there is a great event this weekend. A wake is putting on at the skate park. I'm looking forward to attending that. And the Lindsay Library is a great resource to pull down if you want. And if you want to get out of the house and not be in the room, they're having a dinosaur week. It's really awesome. Literacy is important for all of us. Leaders are readers, and so if you have young children or if you want to spend some time in a cool environment, some fun activities, the library is wonderful. And with that, I can conclude.
Thanks, Joe. Natalie, welcome. You have an amazing group of men and women that work at the police department, and in no time you'll feel like you're with family. So welcome. I missed last meeting, so I did attend the block party, which was really fun. Our kids had a great time. I saw the play 7 times, and it was so cute. They're already looking forward to other plays, but I would encourage. I'm gonna look into doing more art stuff for our city because we need more art. I also attended the banner ceremony and the food service run. I did not run. I saw Joe run by me, and I was like, "Nah, we're gonna walk." So it was. Afterwards he was like, "Oh man," but he did really good. I did attend both graduations for Lindsay High School and alternative ed. One of the really neat things is to see the adults that graduated. They're just so proud and so happy in their families, and it was great times. We had a lot of people show up to the Lindsay High School graduation. Man, the support that our learners get is pretty amazing. I did also attend Cheryl Cook's Celebration of Life this Sunday. If any of you guys are from Lindsay and have been in Lindsay your whole lives, you know that Ms. Cheryl Cook was a long-time principal and part of our district. So that was it. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you.
I have nothing to report, but I'm just so happy that our officers here standing by the wall. And I'm grateful for everybody in the town.
I'll make sure to welcome Natalie. Lindsay's one happy family sometimes, but I think you're gonna do a good job and with all these amazing men and women. I didn't do too much. I had a lot of personal things going on, and the school, but I did attend the graduation. I was actually the guest speaker for the graduation for all 10. It was amazing. We had 125 graduates total. Being the largest since I've been there, 'cause I just completed my 18th, well, tomorrow, complete my 18th year there. But as the mayor and a learning facilitator, it was super cool to see the adults. We had a total of 35 and 25 walking. So that's huge. That's a huge one for Lindsay. With that being said, I'm going to complete my report. We're gonna move on to public comment. The public is invited to comment on any subject under the jurisdiction of Lindsay City Council. Please note that the speakers that wish to comment on a regular item or a public hearing on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to speak when public comment for that item is requested by mayor. Comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per person within 30 minutes for a total comment period, unless otherwise indicated by mayor. The public may also choose to submit a comment before the meeting via email. Public comments received via email will be distributed to the council prior to the start of the meeting and incorporated into the official minutes. However, they will not be read aloud. Under state law, matters presented under the public comment cannot be acted upon this council at this time. At this time, do I have any public comments? Oh, yeah.
Before we start, si alguien tiene un comentario sobre las cosas que están en el consent calendar, 10.1 a 10.8, ahorita es el tiempo de dar ese comentario. Gracias. Eso, sí.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Dr. Guerrero. Here's your presentación. ¿Cómo vamos a hacer posible? Yo creo que la manera de hacerlo, ¿no? ¿Correcto? Okay, so, para beneficio de usted, no lo voy a hacer. No sé en inglés, pero solamente te estoy pidiendo que la ley federal reza que debemos tener un intérprete presente que sea calificado. Cuando llegue la comunidad, y que lo que está pasando, y lo que tenemos como una persona en Chile como soy. Yeah. I'm here to be a long-playing record, scratch record. I'm asking you again to consider the Queen of Vancouver Park. I'm not saying put in swings, I'm not saying put in lights, but just, if you would just be so kind as to think. There's no additional resource to be able to sweep off the window, the top of the ceiling. There's no additional expense to be able to turn on the water and so that the grass is green. There's no additional expense to clean up the lawn area. I know I'm trying to turn to white noise, but because nothing's happened in months and months and months and months. But I think it's really important that we be inclusive. You know, we take care of that part that we would put out here, all the center of the they deserve that. The second thing, again, I'm glad you think about art. I have a suggestion for you. What do we do in our mural honoring farmers, migrant farmers? If you ever notice in all of our murals, there are no Latinos, many of our murals, no brown people, except for one, and that's the one that I feel. But the rest of them all, and with my time, we don't have equitable representation. So when you get down to the that'll be a little bit. Thank you for your time. And please, put on the water, the park. I'm going to look at that read. Please, if you need a blower, I'll loan you one. So you can clean off the top. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comments?
Hi, everybody. My name is Genevieve Joan. I'm a broker. A lot of you know me as if you don't, I'm a realtor here in the city of Lindsay. My office is right across the street. I'm at 246 East Honolulu, right in the chamber's office. I will be having my new signs very soon. But I just like to let you guys know that real estate is pretty hard in Lindsay for some of us that, you know, don't know what's going on with the real estate. I had a listing here. It lasted 6 days. It's currently on escrow. So I just want to tell everybody that I look forward to this development that's coming. And I think I'm going to start pushing the real estate that I used Lindsay. I have an open house here on Saturday and Sunday. It's at 520 East Hickory Street. But since we're all here from Lindsay and we love Lindsay so much, I think we need to also share that the open house is coming. So I wanted to give the few council members my flyer. Please share it with your family and friends. And I love Lindsay. We're here. So let's take a talk.
Thank you, Jen. Any more public comments at this time? Going once? Okay, all right, public comments are closed. We have the city manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Got a few things, that I want to touch on. One, while, Officer Sanchez was here, family, got team, we're very excited. I know that, the active recruiting for the officers, so, from several months ago, we're looking for so recognize it takes a little while to process, but, the team is active, works fine. Get some positions filled and alleviate some of the challenges dealing with the past few months. So thank you. I wanna first introduce our individual that's not unfamiliar to many folks, but our interim chief of or director of public safety, Dave. And so if you want to share a few words with the group first, and then specifically you've been working on the fire side with our ISO rating. And tell us a little bit about that and what situation we're in and where we are now.
Sure, I appreciate that. So you guys don't know me. I am the interim director of public safety. I've been with the city for 23 years and change. My last assignment was operations, division of the Department of Public Safety, which is essentially the day-to-day services. As of last Tuesday, I took over as the interim director of public safety. I am intent on continuing to move things forward in a positive direction. With that, we took on some items that were sort of still pending. One of those is the ISO rating. We were in the middle of an ISO survey, which is our insurability for fires and insurance. Comes around every so often. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's like golf. 1 is great, 10 is abysmal. Our last rating, I believe, was an 8. And in working with the ISO rater, we were able to submit some documents, the improvements that we made in terms of staffing, having dedicated fire staffing to handle fire emergencies, sort of relying solely on Google certified staff, and then the equipment upgrades and improvements that we made, in no small part to Senator Cotto's funding. We are now at 5. So we moved in the right direction a couple of points, which hopefully will reflect on the quality agreements. And so we wrap that up. We should have a letter getting started. Very excited.
What is
Insurance services policy. Just call it that.
Thank you.
So good stuff, appreciate it. Look forward to working with you. Got a few other things. Public swim is starting this Friday. So other ways to pool, yes, the library is a great option, but the pool itself and the wellness center is a great option. So Armando and your team, thank you. It's a critical time for the city and for residents to be able to provide the wellness center's got a lot of great programs. Pickleball, Armando started some pickleball courses over the past few weeks. They've been full. So if you're interested in continuing, you gotta get there early, want to get spot. So there's some good things going. I know we've got some of the disc golf that's going to be it's not quite installed yet, but it was definitely pushing it. So things are going very well from my perspective on recreation. I'm on the want to add anything. says that. We're continuing to look at, additional job openings. We've had some interviews. We sent out an offer for our account clerk one, which will help in the finance department with payments, with cash, tiers, type of stuff. So working the front desk, working with the public. We did extend an offer, it was accepted, so that individual is going through the process of background and all that other fun stuff is for onboarding. So hopefully that individual starts within a week or two, depending on how that process is, but it should be sooner rather than later. So that's very positive, and the individual is a Lindsay native, so I also think that that's always positive. It can help get our homegrown. So look forward to that. Been actively recruiting for deputy clerk for city clerk as well. We've had a lot of applicants on both those sides, and so find some as those close in the next week or so. We'll hopefully have some progress. Have a little bit more information in the next council on that. We also have a finance director position, public works director position open. I'd like to see some more applicants on that. We have some, but if the gentleman would like to apply, it's more than welcome to apply on. You know, whether it's public works or finance, maybe both. I'm not sure. So that's been going on. Been looking at OPEB, looking at doing something for our pension liabilities that we have in the CalPERS. There's some different tools that we can look at utilizing. So I've been researching that, talking with different things. The IRS provides a 115 trust fund that we can that acts as a savings account similar to LAIF, but it's very specific towards only being able to utilize it for your pension liabilities in cities that have this option, counties have this option. So that's something that was a finding in the past audit report to be able to do something towards our obligations from a pension standpoint. So I think that again, we'll work to bring that to council to explore utilizing one of those tools to help us to check off the box with that finding and forward. On the finance side, we've had a lot of good activities, a lot of review. Moss Adams has continued to engage with staff. They're meeting with beyond just finance staff, reaching out with other departments. So they've already made some recommendations. So we've begun to implement some of the recommendations as far as helping with processes, making sure that we're efficient, that we're checking the boxes, making sure we're compliant with everything. So that seems to be going very well. We've also brought in extra help from Darlene Thompson, who's helped us in the past, the former finance director of the city of Tulare. So she's helping with she's a part-time capacity, and so she's helping with some of the day-to-day type of functions that she's her hourly rate is not much on that, and so the better fit them do some of the stuff that she can do that she's done in the past. She had a history with the city of helping us out during different transitions. So that's that. And then last Thursday, I in Kiwanis and was asked to speak at the Kiwanis, and that was great. Seeing the part of that. So that's almost all I have. Lastly, this is Mr. Hanks's last council meeting. He is he's going to a different path. And so I just want to say a sincere thank you for myself over the past almost 3 months. Ryan has been extremely helpful. A wealth of knowledge for myself. He's stepped up to the plate every opportunity to help provide assistance, and I'm just very grateful. If Ryan hadn't been around, it would be, I probably would not be enjoying it as much as I am. And
I probably have quite a few more right here. Might be a nice snow, all white. But thank you, Ryan, and I also, like this, Ryan's last day Friday, so you got a few more days, on the ticket, but not only with just, you know, as a 23-year employee, primarily with the police department, you know, he's helped out with IT and doing a lot of those things over the past year, managing our system, helping to get us, you know, resetting our password if they go bad, figuring out that stuff. When there's some type of tech problem, he's helped out with all those types of things. He's really helped with a lot of the court functions as well. We really appreciate, you know, that type of stuff. And then, you know, the primary thing is interim, or acting director of city services. And, I would let him speak as far as what his experience is. I don't believe there was a whole lot of background in that field, but he's dove in head first and really kind of taken ownership of a lot of the contracts and a lot of the processes, and got up to speed very quickly. So I just really want to commend you for that. If you have any words to share, by all means.
Yeah, I'll go off it a little bit. Thank you very much for that. I just want to say thank you to council and to everybody. I know the city's in really good hands with Chief Nave, with Kyler. I've got to know him over the last couple of months. I know that he's working hard on moving things forward. I want to thank, you know, my coworkers. You know, worked here for 23 years. This is my family. I just, you know, it's been a bittersweet thing. It's something that you know, an opportunity came that I decided to go for. But it is something that's very hard. I think of, you know, everybody on Backwall as my family. I've got my new city service family, Marshall, Joseph, Becky, everybody. It's, you know, it's hard to leave a place that you know everybody's name, everybody's kids' names, you know, the backstory of everything. And, you know, I thank you very much. And I won't be a stranger. So I'll stay around. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to the consent calendar. Routine items approved in motion unless an item is pulled for discussion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event of the item will be removed from the consent calendar to be discussed and voted upon by a separate motion. Do I have a motion to approve?
I want to pull 10.5. I want to motion. Rest of the consent calendar, just pull 10.5, just so we can give an explanation on record on what it is for ultimately. I think sometimes we put things on the consent calendar, you approve that, and we might know what it is, and it's just better if we. I'm looking to approve consent calendar without.
We want to talk about the word first one more.
I think what we'll do is, I think what we're supposed to do is get a motion on the other items, then we'll bring that one up. And then, so if there's a second on pulling item 10.5 and approving the consent calendar, otherwise as agendas. So a second from Sanchez. All those aye?
Aye.
Pass 5-0. So 10.5, I'm actually kind of helping out on. So with that, so this is actually a finance item that I can kind of give a little bit of background. So as there was a street study session that was at the last council meeting, council obviously had a chance to give a little bit of input. I think maybe I gave everybody all that homework. I think one of our biggest takeaways, though, is that council seemed to be unanimous on Westwood and Van Ness, Eastwood. The funds that are under this program, SB1 funds, are limited. I believe the estimate is about $328,847. So what we felt confident in is that if we are going to proceed with the Westwood rehabilitation as council is going to direct us to, all of our SB1 funds will be used up in that project. So although we are going to have the full list, the council is going to come back and give a priority. This is what your priorities are. It seemed apparent that the Westwood traffic or Westwood rehabilitation project was kind of maybe the #1 priority. All of those SB1 funds would be eaten up with this resolution and the money that we get from that. So you'll still have a chance to give your priorities when we update our street study session. We would just use other funding sources for those. This is just kind of to our main project.
Yes, the conversation that I would just, this project rehabilitation in Westwood is already 60% planned for what was that, and that's why we're going with that. I just want to make sure that we're going with the cheapest, not cheapest, but the most feasible priorities, and we let people know that we're being proactive, not just randomly putting these already planned, designed, and can you elaborate on the 60%?
So this, and maybe could jump in, she was the city services director at the time, but Westwood really was one of the priorities that was listed from a previous council. I believe the last time it was updated was 22-23. So that previous council had given staff a priority list of projects. There was the Linda Vista Loop that council would remember has been completed. There was the Foothill and Tulare Road project that was completed. As we've kind of knocked those higher ones off the list, Westwood was the highest one that was indicated by council. It's also one that staff fully agrees with. It's probably the one that would be best served. So again, these funds are dedicated for that project. And then as we come back with this council, we'll get your input. You guys will have the chance to vote on now the 2025 street study list. And this council will set their priorities and staff will basically go down that list. But yes, as to your point, because of that prior council decision, we explored what the plans were to rehabilitate Westwood, and we have 60% plans completed from that project. So now we would again keep moving forward, work on the easements and all the other road designs.
Yeah, so we're ready to roll a little bit quicker on this one. And to Ryan's point, we're not forgetting about the other things, but in addition to that, we heard from council loud and clear that we want to get done what was already right. There were commitments that were already made, we already prioritized streets, and so that was going to be priority forward. So Westwood is part of that. That doesn't mean the Central and Van Ness are not a part of that. That's just coming. There's going to be different funding sources there. The small gas tax, that's what is identified. And the same thing that was approved in the consent calendar on the RCP funds, the same type of thing. There's specific funding for pedestrian type of projects, so that was allocated for the sidewalk portion of that same Westwood. But that doesn't preclude us from doing public sidewalks.
Yes, we are. So do we have a motion to approve 10.5?
I said,
So a motion from Councilmember Sanchez, second from Councilmember Soria. All those aye.
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
Are we on to action item? 11.1. Welcome, Neighbor. Good evening. Yeah.
So this is a follow-up from the last presentation on the last council meeting. This is a step number 2 from the series of 3 that we have to hold every year. The city started doing this process in 1992 and now go through every single district. So this is in your packet, you have an engineer's report for every single district within this spreadsheet. There's 3 different sections that we need to be looking at. The first section is what was budgeted in the previous fiscal year. what was spent in the fiscal year, within the fiscal year, and then what are we projecting for the following fiscal year? So you have all that information for every single, district, and I'll go into detail on each one. You have the city has a total of 8 districts throughout the city of Lindsay, and just for reference, like for example, Heritage Park, you see 96-1. 96 is the year that was formed. That was the time when the subdivision was submitted and went through the entire process, and that's why the number was assigned. So you can kind of get an idea of what years each of those landscape districts were formed. So to start with, this is Sierra View Estates. There is a total of 92 lots, a total of 41,000 square feet that the city maintains. And as many of you know, it's a house in NDS with all of the olive trees surrounding that community. When a new development comes in, as part of the development requirements, that engineering company, whoever the engineer of record is, they have to provide an analysis, and they're the ones that said what is the maximum allowable charge for the district. This one was done back in 1992. As far as I am aware, there has never been an analysis done since then. So the maximum allowed is $295,000 per year per lot. So what we're proposing this year is to do the same, keep it at $295.40 because that's the maximum that we can do. And I'll go into the status of each district at a later slide. Then you have the second one, is Heritage Park, that's coming into Highway 65 on Tulare Road. That's the first district that you encounter. There's a total of 37 lots. There's a maximum of $260.30 that you can charge per year per lot. And so we're proposing this year to charge the maximum, and I'll explain why.
I'm sorry. Is it already at the max?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I think the staff report says that it's a $6
Increase, okay, good. I will go into the detail later. I don't have it in front of me, sorry, but it's part of my presentation. Sweetwater Samoa, there's 2 sets of townhomes across from each other. Samoa is the one that has the 6 lots right next to what used to be Bank of America. That one has a maximum allowed of $1,929.80. So why is it set so high? Well, number one, it was set back in 2002, so it's one of the most recent ones, and it's because they have asphalt. So we eventually have to take care of their asphalt. So that's why that number is set very high. So we're proposing this year $371.34 per year per lot. Whereas their neighbors across the street, there's a total of 12 lots, 12 townhomes. This is a gated community. There's a lot more maintenance that is required on this property, and this property has always required a lot of attention from the city. So the maximum allowed is $1,923.32, and we're proposing $1,643.02. This is one of the ones that I would like to go more into detail once we get into the financials, because they're really, really limited on the deficit. Then we move on to Sierra Vista. This is one of the latest ones that was formed, and as some of you might remember, a couple of years ago, council made a commitment to those residents that the city will develop this landscape area, and council even approved a budget of how much the city was going to pay as a in-kind good faith, so they can finally have the landscape. So they are allowed to charge $502.84, and we're proposing to stay around the same. There's a few cents that go up by $364.80 per year per lot. Then move on to Maple Valley's Estates, or developed in 2007. There's a total of 42 lots. The maximum allowed is 120, and we're proposing to do the maximum. Palouse Ranch, this is your latest incorporated back in 2009. There was 2 phases done. Phase one was done first, and of course, then later on, we incorporated the second phase. But there's a total of 105 lots. So they're allowed to be charged $200.62 a year per lot, and we're proposing, to be at the maximum. And this because they're already in the deficit. So this is a summary of charges that you have in your staff report. So here, the first column, we can see where, is the maximum allowed, based on the original engineer's estimate. Then you have in the middle column, the budgeted that was done last year, and then what we're proposing. And then the last column is the difference, whether we're going up or if it is a negative, if we were to be going down. But you can see the difference of the two. So, going into the financial notes. So for Sierra Blue States, they're already at a deficit of $12,686. So increasing the assessments to the maximum allowable rate, it will allow us to recover $3,500 next fiscal year, but they will still be in a deficit. So, moving on to Heritage, they have a surplus of $13,000. I talking to Joseph and asking him what kind of improvements, that landscape district needs. One of the things that he brought up is the trimming of trees. So we budgeted on $5,000, to be spent this coming year. So that means that out of the 13,000, we're gonna be spending that money. So if we continue, spending some of the surplus that we have in about 2 years, they're gonna run out of money. Then you move into Parkside Estates. They only have a surplus of $1,000, so no immediate changes are needed. So we would continue to monitor, the fund balance. Sweetwater Plaza, this one, the one with the 6 lots, it has a surplus of $7,000. So other than recovering the cost that, was spent this year, that's what we're proposing to do. Then you get into the 12 homes across the street on Hermosa, and they have a deficit of $13,500. I tried to work with the finance department to see the history, and it has been a couple of years where they've been carrying the deficit. But because we were never able to get a good fund balance sheet, we were never able to recapture those money. So what we're proposing this time, instead of increasing it to the max, so they don't feel it that much, the $1,900, talking to Kyler and Joseph, we decided that it was best only to do $1,600, recover some of the deficit, which is approximately almost $6,800. So we're only gonna have a little bit left over for the following year, so we might be able to decrease the charge and still recover that balance. Then Sierra Vista Assessment District is showing a deficit of $4,200. By reminded the finance department how council made a commitment of transferring funds from the general fund, and I gave the history to the city manager. So he agreed that they were going to be working on making that even, so there's no increase to those residents other than covering the cost for what they need. Then Maple Valley Assessment, it has a surplus of $3,000, but because we're not doing an increase this year, we're tapping into that surplus to cover the cost. So we just have to monitor those closely. And then lastly, Police Ranch Assessment, it has an existing deficit of $3,000 with a projected new deficit of almost $5,000. But because of, we're already at the max, we cannot charge anymore. So we're proposing to stay at the maximum. So with that, with those financial notes, one of the items that I recommended adding was number 3. And that is authorizing the city engineer to initiate a comprehensive assessment to bring all of the assessments to 2025 and back with council with options. Can we increase every district at what rate? Or can we look into combining some of the districts? Like for example, Formosa and Samoa, they shouldn't be separate. They're too small. We can combine them. Maybe Colos Ranch, and some other park side, because they're together, they should be able to share all of that cost. And the more lots you have in the district, the lesser the cost is. One of the options, we just did an Exeter, is we combine a lot of the districts, because for a small city, that doesn't make sense to be doing 8 districts. So that's option number 3. You can look into having just one district for all of those subdivisions, and of course, the prices will drop, drastically. So that's item number 3. If council, chooses to authorize us, so we can start a comprehensive plan system, we will come back to you with options. And then regardless of the option, because it's gonna be increasing, we have to go through the Proposition 218 process. In the residents will have to vote for whatever constitutes. With that completes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a lot of questions. First off, on these properties, on these districts that have surplus, why can't we just adjust it lower for the
Because, you have to be careful with any unforeseen circumstances, like if something were to happen, you wanna have a little bit of surplus. Per the law, it allows you to carry around 25% of their total budget. So you always wanna be on the safe side and have a little bit of savings in case something were to happen, a drunk driver hitting a block wall and not having an insurance. Those residents, you're gonna have to bump up their fee the following year drastically. So if you have a little bit of savings, you have a little bit of cushion, and you don't have to raise it that much the following year. So you always wanna be on the safe side. But if that's something council directs to do, that's something you can totally do.
Yeah, because 13,000.
Yeah, the only thing with the heritage is we're out of that, we're budgeting $5,000. So for the tree trimming, so you have only $7,000 left. And that's the one, and you guys can correct me, but we have had to, not get in runs, but they have run into the block wall, and I wanna say we only recovered like $800, like in the last incident 2-3 years ago, we went to court and it never works out enough, because the residents have to pay. So I would recommend that you have that savings to cover any damages for the block wall.
So when they do the maintenance on all of these properties, so do they attach the funding or the cost to each separate district, or do you put them all together and then?
No, as part of, in the following, meeting, there's gonna be an engineer's report brought back, and you can see every APN number, every assessment will get a charge. So that total that we're proposing, every APN will get it, and we'll just submit it to the county, and it's distributed evenly on each of the districts.
I think the council member was talking about our costs, our, as far as how we're coming up with the costs. That correct?
Oh, yeah.
Sure that each district is getting the appropriate charges, and we're not just putting all of the work for, every district all in one.
Yes, so that's how, a couple years ago, we bid out the landscaping services, so the city of Lindsay doesn't maintain the district. You have a company, called Tinka, and they do all of the districts, so they gave us a bid, and they charged us for that bid per district. And it was per the square footage that they maintain. And every 6 months or so, they get together with city services, and if they see any improvements that are needed, like on the clock or sprinkler kits that are missing, they put together a cost proposal, and they do those repairs based on that cost proposal. So it's per district, and they give the bills separately.
And then who does the final approval on?
That would be, city services get back invoices, last time you were reviewing it, Carmen, and then you will pass it on to Becky. Becky will, check, her coding, and then it goes to Joseph for final signature, then it goes to finance. That's still the process?
Yeah, because that's the biggest complaint that I've had with the people that live in the district, is that I can do it in one hour. And I don't know if it's not.
Yeah, the problem is that because we're a government entity, you have to have a landscape company that is completely bonded and insured. And of course, they do charge more than my landscaper at my home that probably doesn't have even business. So there's.
Give the estimate on what the pavement on that is as well.
It is on each of the districts. If you go to the spreadsheet, that is included on the agenda of each of the districts, you know, somebody
I mean,
has a complete agenda. So, yeah, that one, right in the middle. It's, one of the columns, it says, specialty maintenance contractor, and you can see the total charge. And it has it at per month times 12, and then it gives you the total.
Yeah, well, you know, the reason I'm bringing this up as well is because we're really quick to charge them the maximum, but when they have a surplus, you know, we're not getting.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we also have to have basically a fund built up for when we do redo that asphalt, that we have money in the bank to pay for it. So we're basically contributing year upon year to this fund to, when we do have to do the asphalt and it comes in at $10,000, now we're not having to have that big raise the next year because we've encumbered those funds year upon year to then pay for that capital improvement. So that's part of it as well.
So yeah, like
For that.
for Heritage, Fairview, they have a block wall. And then for Super Hermanos and Super Samoa, they do require a lot of capital improvement because of their potential improvements that are getting. So ideally, you want more than 25%. 25% is just for your operational expenditures, plus the law allows to budget any capital that you're going to be doing, like repairing the block wall, repairing the asphalt. So you do want to have that much money saved up. Of course, we don't have it, even though 13,000 may look like, it's a lot. Joseph may remember the number, but I think they got each up $9,000 in Heritage 2 years ago when that driver drove over, Highway 65 and ended up in that wall. And we had the money to pay.
For the insurance.
Any more questions?
How do the residents do that? You get all the mortgage?
Depending on how you have your mortgage set up, that is through your property taxes, some people do pay it through their mortgage. If it's already on their interest.
So how does that? Mortgage?
Yes,
Yes.
they do, their mortgage company does an analysis every year, and that's when your payment will for them, depending on how much the taxes are.
Mine was, they have
Any more questions? So I know you explained a little bit of it, but can you go more into detail as to why Sierra Vista, you know, it's offering a deficit for general fund transfer, and also that it says that in the future, why don't you but
For which one, the second?
for previous plans?
Toulouse? Okay. Yes, so Sierra Vista, that's a subdivision that started back in 2005, and that's when the economy took a dump. And the developer took it, they filed bankruptcy, I wanna say they were done with the improvements, they were already done with the road. But because the city has some grant funds invested on it, the city took possession of that subdivision. So in 2008, 2009, the city put up those lots for sale. And then whoever bought it, they built their own custom home. Well, even though they were buying it, everything was in their titles, and people were not aware that they were responsible for developing the landscaping area across from the properties. But you know, when we're buying a home, we're really excited, we're signing 1,000 copies, and I don't think our real estate sometimes do a really good job of explaining those little fine prints. So throughout the years, we wanted to raise the fees, but, the residents wouldn't allow us because, you know, it was a lot of money, it was like $50,000 to develop that whole landscaping district. So finally, I want to say 3 years ago, we started having community meetings. They said, enough is enough, we're willing to come down to the table. Lindsay, you're at fault for not holding the developer responsible at the time or using their bonding at the time. So we negotiated, we talked. Remember, Councilmember Sanchez was at every single community meeting, and we just came into an agreement along with the finance director and the city manager at the time. And don't quote me on the numbers, but it was like $20,000 to develop, and the city committed to have 11,000 comes to mind. So that's where that came from, and that transferred over.
So, it was paid or not?
It was developed, it's done, they've been done for the last 2 years.
So we paid for the
They paid as part of their assistant districts, we got a little bit of safety, so we used their money to develop it, and then the city paid the remainder portion.
I'm just curious as to why don't we have increase for the following? Yeah, so everybody else is not. Just, I mean, if we're thinking ahead and trying to be proactive, we should be proactive across the board, not maybe just, I understand it, we have to, you know, we have to not run a deficit for all of them, right? We all kind of have a plan for all of them, except for this one, right? Even for Bruce, we have projected new deficit, which we want to do a rate increase, but for Sierra Vista, we won't have a rate increase.
That's a very good question. So the reason for that is because since it was developed, the trees are brand they're only 2 years old. There's no reason to start planning for training. If you were to drive by it, it's completely drought tolerant, it's certified with, it meets all the new requirements. So all they have to do is walk by, make sure the bubblers that every sprinkler are, you know, working, and just spray for weeds. So there's not much maintenance that is going on. We don't expect any maintenance until those trees are starting, you know, they start growing probably up year number 5, year number 7. So what I'm proposing is just keep it. And next year, if council authorizes, we have to do a reassessment because that maximum allowed was set back in 2007. Even though we just developed it 2 years ago, we're still using numbers from 2007.
And so that's one of the things in this item is that, we're asking for study for all of the districts, right? So they will have mentioned, you know, possibly combining districts, but in addition, it's looking forward, what type of plan are we providing appropriate level of service for each of these communities? Should we be doing something different? Should it be less? Should it be more, right? What is the cost savings that we can do? And look at making sure that we're providing the appropriate level of service for each of these communities.
Yeah,
So that's what that's going to help us give a roadmap so that you guys can make educated decisions later on down the road and say, yeah, that is a good plan, or I don't like this, we make these changes, et cetera.
So would it be more feasible to the residents if we did combine them?
I would say so, but not until we run all of the numbers. And also because this is something that it goes through the top 18, that's something that council would have to be very supportive because we would have to host a lot of community meetings. Council's gonna have to take the initiative to try to sell this to the residents, to see if it passes. And Megan can correct me because this one is a majority, right, when it goes through, this meetings.
Yes, that's right. How many was the study cost?
That's something that we can come back and, you know, don't do anything until we put a cost proposal for the city, so we can give you those numbers.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
Are we good? Questions?
Yeah, I understand that I understand that it's drought tolerant and like that, so we're gonna have to, in the future, continue to do general fund offset or this one?
No, this is just a one time, because of what happened 2 years ago, we need to clean up the, fund balance, so they can start from zero.
Oh.
And anybody that picks up the financial analysis, they can see, okay, this is where we're starting from, and, because they might not have, let's say, I'm not involved in doing the assessment. Somebody has to be able to pick up those numbers and understand the numbers without having history.
No, I understand, I'm just curious, because I just wanna make sure when we come back and do this, that we don't have a deficit, we're like, oh, we didn't know. we have a deficit. Cause then someone should be able to help with that, right?
Correct.
Yes. As long as we're not gonna be running a deficit, that's something that we can feel, so I'm sure. We're very particular with our general fund, just making sure that we're not gonna be incurring reoccurring costs, especially for something that should be covered its own cost. Thank you.
At this time, I'll take public comment, 11.1. The comments, do I have a motion?
So this is a three-parter, so I think we should probably go one by one. So if you have 11.1, and then you've got,
Okay, so do I have a motion for 11.1? Point one, that's what I'm called.
I move.
so I have a motion from Councilmember Nave, a second from Councilmember Sanchez for resolution 25-22, giving preliminary approval of engineer's report for fiscal year 2025-2026 for landscape and lighting maintenance districts. All those aye?
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
So do I have a motion to approve 11.1.2, resolution 25-23?
I second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Sanchez. I have a second from Councilmember Soria. All those aye?
Aye. And lastly, I have for 11.1.3, authorize city engineer to initiate the comprehensive assessment analysis. Have a motion?
I thought.
That's the comprehensive, that's the.
You could say that.
Yeah, if you want to add that into the motion, authorizing the city engineer per, fund estimate cost. So.
Yeah.
You're going to say that?
Whoever wants to make a motion, that's
okay.
more or less, what we want to incorporate. But then, authorizing you and initiate the comprehensive assessment, with the cost of. Or something.
I move ditto. I move it. To initiate the comprehensive analysis that you.
With the cost proposal.
I second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Nave. I have a second by Councilmember Soria. All those aye?
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
We're gonna move on to request, we have any requests for future items?
We already have that for next meeting, but if you'd like to say it for the record,
Our PO, had their 100th birthday, that's an organization that we have here in Lindsay,
For landscape, and not say that one. That was the philanthropic educational organization.
It was a group of women, it was founded by 7 women in the late 1800s. And it's a really neat group of women. There was Frances Floyd, there was Cheryl Cook, and, a lot of like people that were in education, oh my goodness, now that I know, there's a whole group that I think I'll, that I won't choose our president right now. I'm gonna. So, I am part of this organization, it's really, really neat, so that's something more about it. Cool, thank you. Do you have any other future items you'd like? No, that's fine.
This is for, I guess, next to, we have council members that are there. We do a lot of public events, and I'm not saying right now, but sure, it'd be nice if we all have a badge. So we can, identify by community members. Sometimes people don't put in faces, and, these group face up to me, so, it'd be nice if they would identify. uh, So, for the next system.
Cause if I see some other head nod from other council members, then I'll take that. Some type of. the Flag.
There you go.
What if we do our council?
Big Joe shirt.
No, I'm not talking about sure, I'm talking, no, because the shirt, it's like, you would be.
Thanks. Good, all right, we're gonna move on to, closed session. You guys are more than welcome to stay. You guys can go on and enjoy your evening. Thank you. You're back from closed session, we have nothing to report. Meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.